I'd never seen anything like that. I mean, I've seen jiu-jitsu, but those guys are amazing.
Great honor to have the Machado brothers.
Machado.
It's Carlos Machado.
This episode is sponsored by Stay Humble Coffee. Coffee is so good, it doesn't need to brag. Find it at stayhumblecoffee.com. So here we are again, Carlos Machado, with a coffee time with Carlos Machado. It's a beautiful Sunday in Dallas, Texas. And I'm here with my brother from another mother, Brandon McCaghren. So we had a great time together. We have here our companions, Roger Perez and Michael Plaster on the background right there. And Brandon, what a pleasure to have you again.
Man, I've had the best time this weekend. I've had so much fun. Roger really ran a great event. You're really lucky to have a guy like this around, man.
That's it. I was remembering last night we're having dinner together, and he popped in into the hospitality room, and all I heard was like, "Oh man, my stress level right now is like up the hill," you know. And I'm like, thank God that he's here, because it would have been me saying that if he was not here. So sometimes we take for granted because he will get all the lightning bolts striking him at the same time. And I remember how it used to be in the old days, right, Roger? Remember when I used to do events? We have an association with about 140 academies. And back in the old days, we have a few dozen of those. And I would do it in my academy, you know, until it could no longer accommodate. But good memories of the old times. Anyhow, you're here, man.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Crazy event. You had a lot different than a 10th Planet event now, Carlos. not quite the same.
How different? What are you talking about? I heard some stories about Cancun. It's like Vegas. What happens in Cancun stays in Cancun.
Yeah, whatever happens in 10th Planet stays in 10th Planet. I mean, your guys' event is packed into a really nice hotel. Mm-hmm. You got your nice conference room. You got a big open tournament. You're doing everybody coming out in their uniform, everybody wearing the same thing, everybody kneeling, and now we'll call up the blue belts, and they'll call them up one by one, and it's just like so well organized and so well defined, and the culture of all the people that were there was really, really good. Everybody kind of like took me in with open arms, made me feel not like an outsider, not like who's this 10th Planet guy coming in here. I didn't feel any of that. I felt loved and appreciated, you know.
Between you and I.
Felt great, man.
10th Planet is a sister organization. You know, Eddie Bravo, lineage from my brother Jean-Jacques, you under Eddie Bravo, and every person I see from 10th Planet, he has that vibe, you know, and it's something I can't explain, you know. And I remember even when I went to PGF in Vegas, Jabron, oh my gosh, I love that guy. All the 10th Planet guys, Kyle Chambers, that monster, you know, I saw him in Mexico, person to person the first time, and also at your event. But they always carry that kind of aura, you know, that tells a lot about, you know, Eddie Bravo and what he has been able to accomplish by passing it on. You know, he's a personality himself.
He is. He's an incredible personality. But you know what has always struck me as the thing that really makes Eddie special? Obviously, he's open-minded. He's a true creative.
Very.
He's an innovator.
He's a musician. You know what I'm saying?
He's an artist,
that
right?
tells me about it. I know you're a musician. Zoltan is a musician.
But it's the thing that's so special about Eddie to me is that he, more than anybody I've ever met, he truly believes that there's enough for everybody to win. Mm. More than anybody I've ever met. Mm. Like I remember, so I had just gotten my black belt.
Mm.
And
how long ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
That would have been 2016, January of 2016.
All right.
And I had just gotten my black belt.
9 years.
And I wanted to, I see where things are where the world is going. I need to have an instructional website, even if it's not big and it's just people that are interested in learning from the little redneck. I need to have something, and I can, you know, build something with that. But I was nervous. Like, Eddie's got a website. Like, I can't just, so okay, if I want to do this, I have to call Eddie and talk to him about it and make sure that I have his blessing, right? And so I'm nervous to even have this conversation. Like, what is he going to say? He's going to think I'm, So I call him, and he just, not only is he like, yes, he's like, oh, of course you should do it. As a matter of fact, here's the good things I did. Here's the things the traps you should avoid as you try to set this up. Let me know what help you need, and I'm available at all times to make sure that you're as successful as possible. And it's just always that with Eddie, with every interaction. Doesn't matter what it is. He truly believes that your success has no negative effect on his success at all. Just you go and get as much as you can, no problem.
He has that abundance
Yes.
mentality. These are people that they add, and they don't lose when they add. They actually become bigger as they give. That's a beautiful thing. Reminds me of Tony Robbins, in this perspective. And I will never forget, because Tony Robbins, you know what his business is? Teach others how to be successful. And he teaches his system, kind of like similar to what Eddie Bravo does, the 10th Planet system, right? And people say, well, wait a minute. You're teaching all these guys how to do what you do. Aren't they going to be competitors to you? And his answer struck me. He said, well, if I was the same person forever, probably, but by the time they become me, I'm no longer me. You see what I'm saying? I want to be something more elevated. So I think Eddie Bravo, with the mindset that he has had, his evolution, because he does multiple things, besides the creation of 10th Planet, which is very innovative. He has his improvs. He has his EBI, was the first one to do the EBI, a competitive no-gi grappling event with rules that were fantastic. You know what I'm saying? It rivaled ADCC right off the bat when ADCC was the big boss in town. And it didn't stop there. Combat Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, they came from the same guy. Whatever idea he's got, because people are contesting, sport jiu-jitsu and reality jiu-jitsu. What did he do? He put both together in a tournament. I can't believe it, man. So a lot of times people take for granted things that are happening now, not looking back, excuse me, to see there was one point in time, one person that put something together that changed forever from then on.
Yeah, Eddie has a way of seeing those opportunities and those moments 5 or 10 years before somebody else can.
Don't you say he's a visionary?
Oh, I absolutely think that. Yeah.
He sees so far ahead that sometimes it takes, for some people, a bit of time to catch up.
Yeah, even after they see it, they still don't see it sometimes. It's like any other we'll just use the term technology. You have your early adopters, you have your creators, and then your early adopters, and then you got people who get on board a few years later, and then you got some people who are really, really slow to adapt to new technology, and then you got some people who just refuse and never will just because it's new. And so, jiu-jitsu community is no different. They fall along those lines somewhere. Innovators, early adopters, the mass of people through the middle, late adopters, and nevers.
Well, I can tell you this, since we're talking about tournaments, some aspects of it that I took away with EBI, the way that the rules format was with the tiebreakers. Okay, nobody won. It's not going to be preferential. We're going to do this, wherever way you start and get the timer, and go from there. The other was, it did help with the resetting of the position, so there's no stalling or less chance for stalling, which has been a prevalent problem, unfortunately, in a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, because they can work the format to whatever benefit they feel, and if that means not fighting until it's worth fighting, when the spectator wants to see a good match from beginning to end.
Yeah, I think most jiu-jitsu tournaments traditionally have been set up in such a way that the rules lend themselves to doing less to secure a victory.
Yeah.
It seems like the guy who does less, who takes less risk,
Right.
has the better opportunity. And that makes good jiu-jitsu. That can make good jiu-jitsu.
But boring tournaments.
But it makes boring
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah, who's gonna go and watch on the mainstream network or stream platform a match that drags forever and nothing happens and you fight for advantages?
Every sport,
Yeah.
every mainstream sport recognizes this and sets rules up to mitigate it. Basketball
Yep.
puts in the 24-second shot clock.
Yep.
College football puts in a play clock. Well, if you want to play in the pros in the NFL, the play clock's even shorter. That the action has to go constantly. And if again in the NFL, if there's a rule change, it's a rule change that favors the offense, not the defense. They want more scoring on the board. They want more action, more excitement, because that's what the fans want to see. And as I saw that jiu-jitsu tournaments, as they were trying to find this perfect rule set, I don't think that they were thinking about in general what does a quote unquote real sport do?
Yeah.
How do they, from what first principles do they operate?
Yep.
And so like while we were building the PGF and while Eddie was building EBI,
can I say one thing about EBI that changed jiu-jitsu dramatically? A lot of people could get away with mediocre jiu-jitsu, not just because of the stalling, but if they had just one aspect, guard pull. They had a very good guard, so they pull guard and kept the guy there for most of the time and maybe tried to work their way into an advantage or a point advantage. But if, God forbid, they were in another situation that they had to play defensively, if somebody took their back or got into a submission situation, they were not as prone to be successful because they focused so much. And I've seen that as an instructor. Guys were actually world champions, had the most incredible guard, but that's the only thing that was emphasized in their game. And if they lost the guard, they couldn't escape from the bottom. They were stuck. They would act like a white belt, you know what I'm saying, in certain positions. And the EBI, and I remember people saying that, the fact that you have a tiebreaker, that people starting on your back or start with an armbar or something like that, you already predisposed the competitors to train starting from bad positions, which is a premise in jiu-jitsu. So I know for a fact that he revolutionized the way people trained jiu-jitsu at that time when that rule was first instituted.
And it forced you to become good at probably the two most important techniques in jiu-jitsu, a rear naked choke and an arm lock.
Yep.
Like you have to master these or you're not going to be able to win overtime.
Yep.
You have to master them offensively and you have to master them defensively.
Yep.
And if, exactly to your point, if you're not spending time in training, putting yourself in terrible positions, then you're going to struggle with that rule set.
So let me kind of pick your line of thought here a little bit, okay? Because you were brought up into that kind of mindset with the 10th Planet training and I guess the tournaments and the way things were until it culminated at a point in time with EBI, okay? And then we have an evolution like PGF, the Professional Grappling Federation, which I had the chance to come to 2 of your events and watch some, via YouTube and other media. And it was an experience to see that. But I'd like you to educate the audience about, one, what was EBI all about? What did you like about their rules? How does PGF differ? And how did you come up with it? Because it's your brainchild. You know what I'm saying? You came up with that in your backyard, from what I understand. And I'm really intrigued from my curiosity, and I think the spectators of the audience here will enjoy being educated, if you don't mind, please.
Well, so PGF was an idea that I had been like cooking up here for many years.
Give me the ABI perspective and
okay.
What's the difference mainly between the two? How do you come up?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so EBI is a tournament. It's a one-day tournament,
Okay.
16-man bracket. And if you lose in the first round, your story is over.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, if you lose in the second round, your story's over. And then, listen, you get a great storyline about the 2 guys that end up in the finals, and you become a fan of either one of those guys or both of them. But the story ends for 14 of those guys. You know,
Gotcha.
it's
What was that money? What's money too, right?
oh yeah, there
What
was
did they pay?
EBI was probably the first tournament that was consistently paying out money, and I think they've structured it differently over the years.
Every
but it's
participant would make money.
now every participant makes money. It used to be that only the winner made the money, and you only got paid for the matches that you finished by submission.
Yeah. Is there also a qualifying tournament? You have to win qualifying.
Sometimes there's qualifying tournaments, and we've done some in El Paso. We've done like an open qualifier in El Paso sometimes for EBI. The 10th Planet, the people from 10th Planet that get into the tournament always qualify. So that's one of the most fun parts of being in 10th Planet is everybody congregates at HQ in downtown LA, and we have a tournament amongst anybody in the 10th Planet system that wants to show up. He'll be like, look, we're having 170-pound 10P qualifiers. And so we'll just all fly in, and Plaster will be on the sideline filming and exercising his creative muscle as they present this tournament out to the rest of the world, stream it free on YouTube. But I love the 10th Planet guys. They want to compete, and it's okay if we compete against each other. It's not a big deal. Like, we'll just get out there, we'll scrap it out, and then we'll go to Chipotle at the end, and everything will be cool. You know what I mean?
That's so awesome.
I love it. It's one of the best parts about it. And again, that comes from Eddie's kind of leadership of, listen, just because somebody else gets some doesn't mean you don't get to have some too.
Right.
You know, like there's plenty for everybody. Today was his day. Don't worry about it.
So EBI, Eddie Bravo Invitational,
Yeah.
for those who are not aware of, was the qualifier mainly at 10th Planet HQ in LA?
Well, the 10th Planet qualifiers are pretty much always over there. I think they've probably done them at Austin a couple
is
of
that
times.
the main bulk of the competitors for the tournament, or how does it work, the qualification outside 10th Planet?
It's invitational.
Invitational.
Eddie and Victor, they hand select people
So
to be
there's
in
a
the tournament.
Matchmaker of some sort.
Yeah. Eddie does a lot of the matchmaking. Victor Davila and his son Tori Davila, who are both like incredibly hardworking, super capable. They're a big part of the success that doesn't always get mentioned in EBI, but those guys are grinding behind the scenes and making it awesome.
It's just a single qualifier, or you have?
It's not always a qualifier. There's always a 10th
Could be by
Planet
invitation
qualifier.
only.
Yeah,
pretty
generally
much.
it is
Just
invitation.
Put it together. Okay.
Yeah, generally it is invitation only. The 10th Planet guys have to qualify every time.
What would a winner make at that time? Because you said 2000, was that 2016 that you had the first one?
Oh no, it was well before that.
Really?
So the first one was when I was still maybe so I remember when Eddie was first cooking up this idea, he was like, okay, I got this rule set and I'm gonna run an experiment on it. And so he was doing a camp in Springfield, Missouri. It was also a bunch of 10th Planet guys. He said, I'm gonna put this new rule set to work, and we're going to have 2 brackets at this training camp. And so I entered the bracket.
Wow.
And I was a purple belt still at that time. And so I think that might have been either his first or maybe his first attempt to run the rule set.
So he had a few, I wouldn't say mock, but a few trial tournaments before he came with a definite product.
Yeah, he kind of put out a minimum viable product. You know.
Now I know UFC Fight Pass picked it up.
They picked it up pretty early, maybe like EBI 3, 6.
Right?
Yeah, EBI 1 and 2 were definitely free on YouTube. I remember those. Yeah, so Plaster you were probably right there as all of it came together. So he'd probably have even more insight than I would. A lot of the beginning I was watching from the outside, just as somebody who was interested and was involved with being in the association, but it wasn't something that I didn't have like inside knowledge at that time. And then I joined the commentary team at EBI 18. And that was the ladies bracket in Austin, Texas. That was at the Honored Academy. And then I did pretty much all the Combat Jiu-Jitsu events. That's about the time they started. I think I missed the first one.
A second.
Boom, 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 boom.
So we're with EBI, we're getting to the Combat Jiu-Jitsu. So let me kind of just finish that up here. Remind me of the rule format of EBI. So it's like, is there
Okay.
time limit? Was that point allowed, or is
No
that
point.
submission based as
No
well?
points. 10 minutes, no points at all. If it goes to it's submission only, if it goes to a draw at the end of 10 minutes, then they sit in overtime positions. So in overtime, you can either have the back position or the spider web positions, what we call it. It's just a, deep elbow,
Arm
arm
trap,
lock.
yeah.
Yep. And you can choose as the offensive player, do you want the arm or do you want the back? And then it's timed back and forth for 3 rounds, like the top and bottom of it, the extra innings in baseball.
Mm.
So if I submit you at the or let's don't even say you, that's probably never going to happen in my life.
Come on. Man.
I submit Michael at the top of overtime, he still gets an opportunity to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he submits me faster, then he wins, even though I got him first.
So in some, maybe I'm mistaken, some you have 3 chances, and they compute the better of 3 based upon, I guess, the time average.
Right.
In case there's no submission.
If there's no submission.
Or if there's a submission, who gets the submission faster.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Right. Just a curiosity here, between back take and the armbar, what was the most successful in terms of getting submissions?
It depends. Like that's a great question.
Depends who you
And
go against.
it depends on who you go against, and it depends on what you need right here. So the back is definitely chosen way more often. I would say 80% of the time.
For time purpose.
They choose the back. But what I've noticed over calling all of these matches is that if, like, let's say Michael submitted me in 1 minute and 30 seconds, I would probably still choose the back because I have 1 minute and 30 seconds to get to my submission. But if Michael submitted me in 14 seconds, it would be crazy for me to go to the back.
Yeah.
The
I'm
arm,
going to try the arm.
the arm has to be, because the arm can be fast. It can happen quickly.
Yeah.
And so it depends on the context. You got to have good IQ and management of the rule set to make that choice correctly.
Yeah. So UFC fight pass, and now we're talking about combat jiu-jitsu. What in the world? How did Eddie Bravo? He's the one that created that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did he come up with that, and what was the feedback initially when people started to see people slap the crap out of each other? I saw one match. I think it was Ethan Creliston winning one of those, and I'm not sure if he had the guy in a triangle, and he started to palm strike the guy. The guy didn't even tap for the triangle. He was just submitting from all the strikes on the face.
It's the best. It's my favorite rule set to watch. Like, to watch one event for one night, there's nothing. No jiu-jitsu is more fun to watch than combat jiu-jitsu, because it's more fun to watch when they can hit each other.
100%.
And man, some of
I saw guys get submitted. One guy was on the mount and started to palm strike the other. The other guy felt, man, I cannot get out of here. Literally, they had verbal submission right there.
Yeah.
What's your impression of it in terms of excitement? And if I've seen some of those, but I never investigated the rules time wise.
So it's the same exact rules as EBI,
10-minute.
but I can hit you with my open hand when we're on the
you
ground.
also have tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
On the tiebreaker, you can still hit him with the face.
That's right.
So I can take her back and yeah. If you want to mix the palm strike with the submission, would it be easier from your perspective in combat jiu-jitsu to see submissions? Because if the guy's trying to hide the arms or something, you start to hit him in the face, he has to separate his hands to protect the face, and then you catch on something. Did you ever see anything?
Yep,
like
and I think also it opens up opportunities. Well, like, let's think about Damian Maia when he was in the UFC.
Uh-huh.
Like, a lot of people, you'll hear them say that the half guard is not a good position for MMA. You'll hear that a lot. But we watched Damian Maia use the half guard.
He did so well
to display probably the highest level jiu-jitsu we've seen in MMA.
Yep.
And so and he's using the half guard to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can the half guard be widely regarded as a poor position for fighting, and yet the highest form of jiu-jitsu in MMA uses that position that everybody thinks is no good? And it happens when you strike, you open a giant Damian Maya sized hole right
They
here.
go for the underhook. Yeah.
Yep. And so he understands that, and he closes that gap quickly. And then he's so deep that, you know, he's coming up on a
we should
single.
pull some Damian Maya MMA footage.
I know he's going to talk about Damian Maya. Sorry.
No?
We're
Okay.
always going to talk about
Yeah,
Damian
I know.
Maya.
He was in the corner of
Isn't that interesting though? Like,
Ian Gary Machado yesterday.
oh yeah, he was there last night.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy though that like a lot of times the consensus and the popular and even informed consensus is completely wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I see that in martial arts all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the half guard is no good. Be careful using the half guard. That's the best place to get punched. The best to ever do it, arguably, right? The best to ever do it in MMA.
You bring
relied on it.
The first time I encountered a half guard game that I went against was the great black belt trained with me at a point in time, trained with Jean-Jacques as well, Roberto Gordo Correa. And Gordo, he had an injury on his knee for the longest time. He couldn't do full closed guard. And I remember going to Brazil for a tournament, and I ended up going to the school I used to train at while I was there. And there he was. And I was there, you know, just rolling with everybody. And, okay, let's do it. And I started to train with him. And lo and behold, he pulled me to a half guard. And he was able to sweep me like 2 or 3 times before I was able to figure out what the heck is going on here. You know what I'm saying? So interesting that you mentioned that. It's such an effective, you know, bottom game. I feel for MMA, you protect yourself a little bit when you have the underhook. Although the Dagestanis, they tend to go for the Darce choke from there.
Yeah.
Some of the guys, you gotta, you know, anyhow. Yes.
Yeah, so I'd like Brandon to get back to trying to talk about the difference between the EBI, the Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and then
PGF.
PGF.
Yes.
I love PGF.
Man.
I'm now following some of those athletes closely.
Yes.
Communicating. I would say friends to some degree with Chris Olivo, just because we were both veterans. We both lived in Vegas. So before you even explain it, I just want to kudos to you for having the mind to kind of look and see, because you're trying to make jiu-jitsu a sport. So you looked at sports in particular and asked I think this is what you did. I don't even know. But I think you saw, what do they have that we don't have? And you took some of those things, shot clock, stall clock, move forward, moving backwards, all these elements of the rules, and you implemented rules that forced situations and actions. And the second I recognized that, I fell in love.
It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I fell in love with the idea, and I understood it's not art, it's now sport. There is art involved, but we're looking at sport because we're looking at entertainment. So I hope I didn't steal any thunder or any explanation, but I want you to talk about that now.
Yeah, let me add this, though. I agree with you. Even the matches that had no submission, it did not matter. They were so exciting because you saw the two guys going for it all the time. You know, those actions, I don't remember having idle time in any of the matches that I saw.
That's the benefit of having a league format instead of a one tournament structure, is that the draw, instead, you know, they always say a draw is like kissing your sister. That's what we say. Yeah. A draw is like kissing your sister. Well, a draw is not a no result in a league format. A draw is a result. The result is you got 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you're out or you're whatever. It's just you were unable to score. You get 0 towards the playoff. And so a league format offers that possibility to make a draw a meaningful match again, because you might have needed 3 points. I needed to score here, but my result was I got 0.
Yep.
You know. Yeah. Go ahead.
People at home, you said league. Can you just explain like the idea and the format? Because I don't think a lot of people understand that there's teams. Can you explain that for people?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll give you a little backstory here. So I had been, you know, I grew up especially as a basketball fan. I love basketball. Still love basketball. I have to be careful not to watch too much basketball, or it starts to take over my brain. And then growing up in the state of Alabama, football is a religion where I'm from. So you are an Alabama football fan. not on Saturdays. You're an Alabama football fan all week long, all season long. You follow the off-season recruiting. You know who the high school players are. If you're an Alabama football
serious
fan,
business.
you're a Alabama, like you're into it, right? It's a year-round religion. Okay, and so I grew up loving to play and follow regular sports. Well, and I'll use quotations, regular sports, real sports, right? And I didn't get into martial arts until I was already an adult. So when you're into a regular sport, whatever it is, it's always in a season and a league and a team's format. And then the individual stars live within the teams and the seasons and the league. When I got over into martial arts, everything was in a one night, one day tournament format. There were no leagues. There were no seasons. And so if I wanted to follow an athlete in MMA, I had to wait to see him until the next time he comes up. And especially at that time, he might be in the UFC, he might be in Pride. How am I supposed to watch Pride? Like, I got to go find the videotapes and, you know, and then even like karate tournaments. That's a tournament format. It's a one-day format. There's no season. When jiu-jitsu's tournaments, when I found out about that, it's always just a tournament. And then when people started trying to make jiu-jitsu professional, they started wrapping jiu-jitsu around these one-day models, which don't allow, as a fan, it doesn't allow you to become invested in an individual athlete in the same way. So how could you become a fan of the sport? There's no way for you to invest in it. There's only one guy to invest in, and he's the winner. And when am I going to see him again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for me, as a fan, I noticed that. But then as a competitor too, it creates a situation where if you go and compete let's say you're in a wrestling season or basketball season, football season, you're going to have regular competition every week. Friday night football, game. Friday night football, game throughout the whole season. Practice during the week, game. Practice during the week, game. And so you get this repetition and skill set over time of competing in and of itself. Like, competing is a separate skill set from being good at the sport that you're trying to do. But over here, we would go, all right, I got to get in training camp and I got to get ready for this big thing. And it's coming up in 3 months, and all of your energy and your stress and it goes into this one repetition of competing. And because of that, you start to elevate it to this place where you can get more nervous than you should, or it can mean more than it should. A loss means more than it really a loss should. And a win means more than a win really should.
That's a good point.
And so as a coach, for my athletes, I started picking up on this. I'm like, they're not getting the skill of competing because they're putting too much value, whether positive or negative, on the outcome of what happens at this Naga this weekend. They think that means that they're good or bad, but it doesn't. It just means that they're good or bad at competing this weekend. But if they could come out and do it again next weekend and the next weekend, just like a wrestling season, they would start to build a comfortability with fire. And so those were the two elements where I was like, man, I got to cook something up. And so I sat with this idea, and I would talk about it with my friends. Like, I'd talk about it with Scaff, and I'd talk about it with Lindsay, and I'd talk about it with Keelan. And then when the pandemic stuff all started, I was like, there are no options over here. There's no way to compete over here. I can't have my guys over here dying for lack of competition. They're gonna wither on the vine. And so I sat me, my wife, and Keelan Lawyer, who's my co-founder for the PGF, brilliant. We sat down at my kitchen table. I was like, guys, just give me 5 hours of your time. And I cleared off the kitchen table, and this is how I manage my ADD. I just put blank paper all over the table, and I put a pen down on each piece of paper. I was like, okay, if we wanted to build this idea. What will we need? Oh, we need great referees. All right, this paper's about officials. And I'll just write and talk with them until, yeah, also, we're going to need a Facebook page. Oh, come over here to marketing page. And I write down, oh, yeah, also, man, we're going to have to think about what does the rule set look like? And come down here and write the rules. What are the teams? How many minutes should the matches be? And I just start. And we packaged together that night the first mildly tangible version of the PGF. And then we started going to work on it. Yeah, you remember the other day we were talking about how when the muse hits, it takes over your life and nothing else can exist, you know, and you almost become crippled.
You got this inspiration
yeah.
all of a sudden that's revealed to you. Doesn't matter what point in time. You have to get out of whatever you're doing and stay put, working on that idea that just came to you until it's out.
Yeah. And then the idea
was that how it happened?
Yeah, that's exactly that's the way generally things work with me. Is I'll sit and I'll stew,
have a flurry,
and I'll think or I'll experience in whatever. Like in this, I needed, you know, a decade or more of jiu-jitsu under my belt to recognize the issue.
Yeah,
and I needed to be have a real connection to my athletes to understand what their actual needs were. So I needed to have all these experiences to lead to the I call it the brain fire. Me and my wife call it the brain fire. But when the brain fire starts, you can't put it out.
So kitchen table, brainstorm to first official PGF tournament.
Oh, fast.
What was the lapse of time right there?
Not long.
Really?
Not long. No.
So once you came up with the idea,
we gotta let's throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
Was it mainly your students who you used initially, or you had out of towners as well?
Both. A lot of my own students, and then a lot of people just from the area. Because in my mind, I was running an experiment. I was just testing a hypothesis, right? Like, I think this is a great idea, but this could be a terrible idea, you know? And we'll put it on YouTube. That'll give it the pressure of competition, right? And what is a league going to need? When a league was fully formed at the end, it's going to need a fantasy league and it's going to need podcasts. So we put all of those things in place early. And a lot of times it was just like the worst viable version of it, but we'll put it out here, we'll run the experiment, and then we'll bring it back when it's done, and we'll have all these lessons, and we'll tweak, and then we'll get out and we'll run another iteration as fast as we can. Tweak. Great point. Tweak. And so we start messing with the rules just a little. Adjust, because the first idea was really good. We'll adjust the rules. What if in the first season, it was all week by week?
Can you refresh everybody on the rules in the beginning, and then as it evolved, what additions or changes took place?
Well, I wanted to steal a lot of what wrestling does, because the pace of wrestling is tremendous.
Yeah.
And so what do? They have essentially a 6-minute match, 3 2-minute periods. It's like, well, we're just going to have 6 minutes. I always have felt like jiu-jitsu matches can just be too long, right? And that could be a whole discussion for another day. I got some strong feelings on that, but I think they're too long. And I think that an athlete that really cares, that really is there to compete, he's going to spend 100% of his effort, no matter how much time you give him. But if you give him 20 minutes, he can't spend more than 100%. He's going to space that effort out in the way that makes the most sense. Well, if we compress it down to 6 minutes, he doesn't have more energy. He has the same 100% to give, but now he's got to spend it all in this 6 minutes. And that's way more fun to watch.
Well, so it's submission based.
Yes.
And you have a
no
time
points.
limit. If nobody scores points, it's because there was no submission. So I could have points all over you, pass your guard, mount on you, smash you all day, and if I don't tap you, you and I are on the same boat.
That's right.
And
if you lose or draw, it's the same penalty. Like you don't get extra penalty for losing.
Points.
It encourages you to take a risk.
The one who taps the other that gets something, and I guess not every submission has the same value.
That's
correct?
right. A choke, and I took this from Elio Gracie from hearing him in interviews and reading books, is a choke kills a man. A arm lock, you know, maybe the guy doesn't even quit fighting, or maybe we just go to the hospital, but a choke is final.
Right.
You, at the end of a choke, you're alive because I chose for you to be
Yeah.
alive. I made the decision to let you live. At the end of an arm lock, you can make a decision if you keep fighting with a broken arm. And it can be a very violently and badly broken arm, but you can choose to keep going. And we've seen that happen how many times in jiu-jitsu. Think about Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig in MMA when his arm is broken inside that triangle. It's just flopping on the mat. Or think about Jacare and Hajer,
Yep.
you know, the arm just dangling,
Yeah.
broken. But I still have my goal in front
I
of me.
always
Well, it
say-
doesn't matter if you're unconscious. It doesn't matter where your goal is. You're dead.
Neck is king.
Yeah,
So 6 points for neck and 3 points for joints.
that's right. We call them a kill or a break. 6
Okay.
points for a kill, 3 points for a break, and
Nice.
an extra point for either one under a minute.
Okay.
And
The faster the better.
speed. And if the referees deem you to be stalling, 20-second shot clock. And if you get called for stalling and they have to stop you, they throw a flag, they blow a whistle. I want it to feel embarrassing that you got
Yep,
called for
yep,
stalling,
yep.
and we'll stop the match and we put you on bottom referee position.
Mhm.
And the reason that we chose the referee position for the restart is that it's very close to having your back taken.
Mhm.
We're putting the offensive play, the guy who got penalized, we're putting him as close as we can in a way that we still feel is fair
Mhm.
to being submitted. Like you're
Yeah.
very close to getting 6 points scored on you and getting killed right here.
So my question is, how many of those you run out of your school, I guess, initially? And when did you go to a greater venue or scaled?
Okay, so
Yeah.
season 1, we did all at my gym in Decatur, Alabama. And it was week by week, every Friday
Can you
night.
tell everybody about your gym, what your gym name is and where exactly it is? Go ahead.
10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Decatur, Alabama.
All right, guys, remember, Decatur, 10th Planet, Alabama.
Yep, it's run by the lovely and powerful Lindsay Jones McCaghren. She's the real boss over
She's
there.
the boss.
I'm sure.
Well, my wife
you
is
can.
Lindsay
Yeah.
too, so I feel you. It's a good name.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a dragon in charge at the gym
know.
instead of a teddy bear.
Clap hands for you. So how many did you do there?
We did season 1 there every Friday night. They had games. But what we
Okay.
realized is that we could learn much, much faster. We could really accelerate our learning on this thing if we compressed the whole season down into a week.
I got you.
And so,
So it was not the case in the beginning. In the
No.
beginning, you had on a weekly basis.
yeah, the first idea was to run
And-
it week by week.
And when was the first time you compressed and put everything one day after the other?
Season 2.
Season 2, huh?
And then season
What was
2.
the difference between the two, in your opinion?
Well, the initial model is better
Better for who?
for the fans and for the athletes themselves.
Well,
For
no, I
everybody.
agree with the athletes part because I saw in the last couple of seasons that I was
Yeah.
able to follow, including being a coach in the last one, that they had a 3-day stretch of the regular tournament, 4 days, I'm sorry, where they had 3 matches a day. And in terms of intensity of the matches, every match was like literally a sprint mixed up with a marathon. So those guys are doing a marathon in sprints. That makes any sense. And then after day 4, if they did the top 8, you still had the grand finale, which likely, if you did all good till the end, even if you're a runner-up, you should have 3 more matches to go. I don't know how those guys did it. So I would assume that the weekly definitely is better for the athletes, more recovery. You know, you have time to heal if there's anything going on. But in terms of fan base and interest in the media, the streaming, how different was it for you?
Well, because it was a new idea, nobody had ever even.
Yeah.
I don't guess they
So
probably
they
even
caught-
thought about
you
how
caught
to do
everybody's
that.
attention right off the bat.
Yeah, not everybody's, but it did get some attention early
Mhm.
that we were very grateful for because because people were watching it allowed us to grow and have feedback, both positive and negative.
So the second season you compressed.
The second season, we compressed it all down and we put them all in the gym for a week, and
Which
we
one?
filmed
Was that at your
at
place?
10th Planet, Decatur. We filmed it all, but then we released the episodes one at a time. So when the episodes came out, it wasn't live. So
I
it was more
see.
like an Ultimate
You
Fighter.
did the tournament all at once,
Mm-hmm.
one day after the other, but you didn't show the whole thing. You showed
That's right.
day 1 week, day 2. I got you.
And
So
I was
one
like,
way or the
oh,
other.
great idea. But the problem is it wasn't live sports anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't appointment television
And
anymore.
probably people already knew the results and everything. So you had this.
We did a pretty good job of keeping it quiet, but of
Really?
course some people find out. Yeah, but it stayed
Suckers, huh?
it stayed quiet for the
You
most
couldn't
part.
Keep their mouth shut.
So season 3, we did both. We did 1 week live, and we did it at my gym. And then season 4, we did. Oh, this was good. We did 1 week live, tweak, and then the finale. We did season 4. The entire thing we did at the church, at Epic Church, which is a friend of mine, Ivy Marsh. He's a pastor at a church there in Decatur, a really big church.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, it was called Epic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, hey, he was training jiu-jitsu with us. He's like, hey, I think we could
That's kind of cool.
use it over, because we've been using his facility for the finale already.
Yeah.
But
I always joke about that. The mat is my temple. Jiu-jitsu is my religion.
it's kind of true, though.
Yeah. All right. So kind of like, I know that Zoltan came to be at a point in time, and some of you don't know. Most people probably heard of Zoltan if they know anything about music, as a rock genre and stuff. But he's a jiu-jitsu guy, black belt, and judo black belt, and all that stuff. And I understand you guys hooked up. And
Yeah, so he showed up at season 5. So he came and stayed
which was also at your gym.
it was at the church, at the Epic Church.
Were you already his friend before that?
I mean, we had met.
Bro,
But he came.
this is insane.
He
You
came,
have like the lead rocker of a famous band
yeah.
knocking at your door to watch a tournament. What are the odds?
Well, so I met this dude named Matt Wallstrom.
Okay.
He's the guy who started the brand Epic Roll.
Yep. I remember.
I met Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. I met him, just
Was you
around
already
the-
friends to Zoltan? They kind of partner up on that one?
at that time they had already partnered up. Yeah.
Okay.
When season 5 came around, they had already partnered up. But I met Matt through Samson from who is one of my best friends, and he's one of the guys that is always around at PGF running the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the competitors, actually. I think Samson was on EBI 1, wasn't he, as a competitor? I think he was one of the competitors on EBI 1 where he was like a blue or purple belt. And then,
Man, we got to put a side note here. This is incredible. When I went there the last time, I got to meet the whole crew, the people that work for the show, for PGF. And I guess you have a policy, if you don't work out, if you don't do jiu-jitsu, I'm not hiring you, because on the morning of the open mat, every single person that worked, from the cameraman to the commentators, they were rolling, doing jiu-jitsu, not just going easy. They were going at each other. That was so awesome. So awesome.
it's an event by jiu-jitsu people,
for jiu-jitsu.
for jiu-jitsu people.
Yeah.
That we want to make interesting for non-jiu-jitsu people,
That's
so that they can
amazing.
become jiu-jitsu
That's
people.
amazing. Let's go back to Zoltan. So
I meet Samson. Samson introduces me to Wallstrom.
Yeah.
Wallstrom
Epic Row.
from Epic
Yeah.
Roll.
Yep.
And we start hanging out and getting to know each other a little bit. And he's going to be doing so I don't know this at the time, but he's gone into business, Zoltan, on the Epic Roll brand.
Yeah.
Okay. And how they met, I'm not even actually sure about that, to be honest
So
with you.
Zoltan himself has an amazing story.
Oh yeah, you need to have
So-
him on
so-
here sometime.
His band, I went to see with you.
Escaped
He was,
communism to come to
yeah.
America to start a rock
I
band.
can't wait to hear more from him
Bro.
about him. But in a nutshell, if you were to kind of give you a 3-liner, who is Zoltan, what he's all about, and how did he came to you? I know you met him through Matt, but the whole thing about him going to watch your tournament, was he doing a concert nearby, or what happened?
No. So what happened was Matt called me. He's like, hey, I'm doing a photo shoot in California and I'd really like for you to come. And I was like, oh, I can't come. I'm booked up. And he goes, listen, dude, I would never ask you to do this, but you need to cancel whatever that event is and come. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. He's like, just at least look and
Consider.
see if it's something that you can cancel. If it's something that you can cancel without burning a bridge with a friend,
Yeah.
then you should consider it. And so it turned out something that I wasn't even a big deal at all. Actually, it worked out great for the other guys. Like, oh, good. It was going to be a seminar, but we were going to be struggling to even get back that weekend. Yeah, let's just reschedule it some other time. Okay, Matt, I can come. So I fly out to California to do the photo shoot for his new branding relaunch, and Zoltan is there. And this is how I meet Zoltan. And so we're just hanging out, and everybody's like, oh, you know Zoltan, he's in a band. I was like, no, I don't know. And
did you know the band or
I
off
thought
the band?
I thought he was in a band the way I'm in a band. I didn't know. I was like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you're not in a band. You are the band.
but turns out he's in a real band, like, you know, Five Finger Death Punch. I'm not into heavy metal music that much, and so I didn't
I did like his music, by the way.
listen. I like those live shows. I'll tell you that. Incredible.
I'm not a hard rock, heavy rock at all kind of guy.
What a show.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
On a side note, I went to his show, and every single song I heard, I liked it. I swear to God, I'm not saying that to flatter anybody. I liked it. Probably it's going to be the only heavy rock band that'll ever like it, you know. But
It makes a difference when you have a connection to the person,
Yeah.
and when you're there listening to it live,
even
and
if I
going through
never
the
knew him,
concert
even if
experience.
I never met him, just the music in itself, I liked it. I'm kind of weird with music, you know.
You like melodic, beat driven, and they're very, very melodic.
I like melodic.
The Five Finger Death Punch is huge amongst veterans. When I was in the
Yeah.
I'd be playing Five Finger Death Punch, my DeWalt radio. I'd be popping in that battery in the middle of Afghanistan, Iraq, and we would be jamming that and some classic rock, because that's like mandatory construction site music when you're building stuff. But we had them, and when Carlos told me about Zoltan, hey, you know this guy Zoltan? Yes, I know him because I nerd out on guitarists and drummers and who's with this band and that band, much like people do with jiu-jitsu teams like PGF, which fighters on which team. But yeah, I was a big fan of the music before I knew Zoltan, not personally, but now before I got to meet him. So amazing story.
Wow.
Continue.
So yeah,
So photo shoot, Matt Wallstrom, go to LA, meet Zoltan. All right.
Zoltan, and then season 5 of PGF is coming up in a couple of months. So I called up Matt Wallstrom. I was like, hey, dude,
You want to check it out?
you want to sponsor one of the teams, Team Epic Roll? He's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I would love to do that. And
Was
so
that the first time you had sponsors?
no, it was the first time that Matt had been a sponsor, though.
So,
that Epic Roll had been a
from the
sponsor.
very first one, you already had people be
No, we
sponsors?
started at season 3
Okay.
trying to pick up sponsors. I mean, we would pick up like Dr. Cantrell and Lonnie Jones and these guys. Toehold even was involved very early on, but they were involved to support me. They didn't really know what
It was
we
more
were, what we were
because
doing, you know.
They had a relationship with you, not
Yeah, they
necessarily-
believed in me, and if I was doing something, then that was a
It
good
should be
idea.
good.
Yeah. And hopefully I proved them right, you know. So Matt's gonna Team Epic Roll season 5, and bring Zoltan with him. Zoltan comes off tour to come and hang out in Decatur, Alabama for a week, and he was, you know, he told me this story. He's like, you know, we were set to go, and I was like, oh, I do not want to go to Decatur, Alabama, but I told Matt that I would go. So, and then he just has the best time. He just loved it. And by the time we got to the middle of the week, he sat me down and he goes, hey, you realize this is going to be $100 million company one day? And I just looked at him and laughed. I was like, "This is no, I did not realize that." And
What
that
did you say? How much was that?
and so he wanted to meet with me and Keelan, and then that was the beginning of our relationship. And
Wow.
season 6, we were in Vegas. Season 7, we're in Vegas. And then when does this release? When does this podcast release?
I would say
After April 29th or before?
After.
All right, then. Season 8, we move back to the original vision, which is the week by week jiu-jitsu. Now we know how to do it. Now we have the funds to be able to do it. We have the right people in place. And June 25th is the draft. July 23rd, July 3rd, regular season, July 23rd, July 30th, August 6th, August 13th, August 20th, all in Las Vegas. Playoffs on September 10th in Las Vegas. Brand new media rights deals. Brand new, sold our first franchise in a probably one of the biggest, probably one of the largest, if not the largest, private transactions in the history of jiu-jitsu.
Amazing. So, yeah, I have to say my personal experience going to 6 and to see my brother Higan opposing my brother Jean-Jacques, and then see my cousin Roger Gracie. It was literally a family reunion.
Yeah, I love
It was kind of fun, to watch. And they were going toe to toe until Higan's guys started to get banged up. And Jean-Jacques, he had probably the dream team, and then eventually, he took it. And it was fun. And then when I came, just to see Pedro Sauer, talk to Dean Lister, catch up with everybody, that was great. It's such a great vibe.
It's a great time, isn't it? It's a great
the
time.
athletes are so nice. So nice.
Athletes and the staff, I have to really make sure I choose people that understand what we're trying to do and don't try to grab the bag too fast.
Yeah.
Because it's still a labor of love.
Yeah,
like
100%.
It's still a sweat equity position,
Yep.
And so it's got to be people that are cool to be around and that understand the mission.
Yeah, believe in the dream. Yep, way to go. All right, so if you were to make a parallel before anything else, give me a comparison, PGF, EBI, if that, I know you mentioned something. What would be the key ingredient there other than the format?
The main difference is the way that stories are told, I think. Because the rule sets are pretty similar. Even in our playoff, we'll use almost exactly the EBI rule set. We just have like one small modification. So I love the EBI rule set.
And doing one 60-man bracket.
That's right.
One day you are doing 20-man tournament, everybody against everybody. You don't tap somebody, it does not count.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so with a tournament format of which EBI is, the story is all told in one day, in one, let's call it a 3-hour block.
Right.
And the story ultimately revolves around one guy at the top. With a league format,
everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story because I get to see the glory of winning and the agony of defeat in each different character. Yeah. Like remember Brad Schneider last season, he comes out.
He popped his knee, right?
And the very first day he loses all 3 matches. I mean, it went as bad as your first day can go. Yeah. He comes out on day 2 and he's the hero of day 2. Yeah. And you get to ride on this journey with an emotional story that this is nothing is better at giving you lessons for your life than sports. Yeah. And I get to take jiu-jitsu as a sport and draw that lesson about overcoming adversity just from watching how Brad Schneider handled adversity. And Brad Schneider didn't even make the playoff. And that is the beauty of the league and the season format.
In that tournament.
That's right. And he left his mark on fans. And so you can become a fan of somebody who really is never going to make the playoff at all.
One thing that I noticed, a lot of times you use the stats and the previous record of the competitors. And I remember myself when I was doing the draft with Roger and Isaac Payne in a coffee shop. We had everything mapped out, and we picked several of the succeeding teammates that won the previous season. And of course, it was a different division. And not only that, there was some weight addition to it. It was a heavier weight division, but also the evolution of the sport is to a point where it's
Fast.
frantic. Like you see the same guy competing in two different events a few months apart. Whoever level of competition that person encountered in a previous season is already to another level on the season. And you told me this, that on the qualifiers that you've had in this previous season that's coming up in June, you said that the level that you witnessed was something that hasn't been paralleled yet.
Yeah.
Some of those up and comers. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts. And
know?
man, the average age of
It's
the competitor
It's dropping.
for PGF season 8 is going to blow your mind how young these kids are. That
Well,
that
I was
they won the
mesmerized.
qualifiers.
Yep.
Like there's a blue belt kid named Landon Elmore that's going to be on this roster this season.
Monster.
He's 19 years old. He's a blue belt. He wiped out every black belt we laid in front of him. Wiped them out. Ran them off the floor to earn his
Well,
spot.
I remember
Crazy.
when I saw
Rafael Ferreira,
Jet
same
Thompson.
thing.
Jet
Jet
Thompson,
Thompson.
very first time.
Jet Thompson's back
How
this
old was
season.
he? How old was he?
17.
No, how old was he on the season 6?
I think he had just turned 17.
Bro,
Or he was about to turn 17.
my brother Hegan was the coach on the team that he was at, and he saw their daily training. Nothing against any of the other guys. He was just going through people left and right.
There's a funny spot on the documentary after season 6 where they're interviewing Hegan, and they're talking about who he's going to pick in the draft, and he goes, "I think a Jeffy. I like a Jeffy. I like his vibey."
Yeah. He
And it's just
misspelled-
one of my favorite lines. I like a Jeffy. I like your vibey.
Yeah. He meant that. Yeah. Now the other thing too, amazing personality, very likable guy, but he was all business, man. I mean, you go to compete against him. I remember him and Jabron. And Jabron is a leg locker, but that kid had a vicious spinning ashi. I mean, holy
Yeah,
crap.
he spins into his Aoki lock from a really weird angle. And he
Yeah.
also hits, he was the first guy that I really noticed that was hitting that K-guard shotgun armbar.
Yeah.
He hit it on Matt Elkins that season. And he's very good at, and that's starting to catch hold. Just that move now is pop, it's dropped into the ecosystem. If you don't have it in the game, you're behind.
Isn't it crazy? Like sometimes you see trends that I remember jiu-jitsu in the past was like you had one move that became popular, and then you take a while before everybody caught up with
Mhm.
it. You know, because we didn't have the diffusion that you have now. Now you have online everywhere. You can see footage of tournaments and this and that. I remember when it was a VHS, you know, cumbersome, big camera. Not everybody even bothered to film themselves or having people streaming or filming tournaments. Nowadays you have Flow Grappling going everywhere, covering all the events and other platforms. Bro, something happened on one event. Next event, everybody's doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like literally,
It has to be that way.
it's unbelievable.
The sport evolves so fast. And as we move into the age of true professional jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
things like that are going to separate the wheat from the chaff, the have from the have-not.
I do have one thing on a side note about that part of jiu-jitsu. I always compare to Star Wars. You know, when Luke Skywalker, at one point in time, Yoda told him, don't just rely on the machine, on the instruments. Trust the Force, and the Force will be with you. You know, how they made the Force be with you. So I remember that passage that he all of a sudden closed his eyes, and he was
Use the force, Luke.
yeah, taking the ship in a maze, and kind of eventually, once he opened his eyes, he was shooting all the enemies right on the spot and this and that. I think jiu-jitsu for some reason has this psychic kind of energy that a lot of times that feeling or intuitive part has also to be played out
For
or
sure.
part of the game because it's so intricate or essential to it.
It can be, I think when up and coming, or let's even say like intermediate level athletes, that when they see some of these new trends and metas that hit, they see a parlor trick that they can go and grab.
Yeah.
and they may go and grab it, but it doesn't ultimately serve them in the long term because it is just a parlor trick to them. But what you're saying, and I totally agree with this, is that the expression of jiu-jitsu will often yield something that looks like a parlor trick. But really what that is the fullness of jiu-jitsu manifesting itself as a K-guard armbar. But it's really connection and balance and leverage and patience that yielded that particular result at that particular time.
It's almost like a musical note, and you're conducting an orchestra, and it's not in sync here, not in sync there. But then when you strike the note, it becomes effortless.
Yeah.
It becomes pleasant to the ears. It becomes fluid, so to speak. And that's one of the concerns that I have a lot of times is it takes time for you to build a game, and everybody has somewhat of a DNA of a certain point in jiu-jitsu. Not that you don't change your game or create, innovate, and adapt and evolve, but sometimes you want to go too fast, too soon, in too many different directions without planting the roots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like what you're saying. So it becomes somewhat
fractured
because time is what really tests things. And I think, the whole thing of this podcast here with the watches or the clocks has to do with time. Something that you hit that note, you will equal through time. You're going to be able to do it today and carry it on, whether it is a particular technique or mechanics of a technique or the principle behind it. It just goes.
That's so cool.
We're kind of philosophic here.
That's good.
Just kind of throw that out. This episode is brought to you by Machado Method Nutrition, premium fuel for disciplined athletes who train with intent and recover with purpose. Live the method, fuel the life. Start now at machadomethodnutrition.com. So we had a mix of PGF, EBI, and Combat Jiu-Jitsu. Your upbringing, your family tree, and not talking about the here and now. So we just spent a few days since you came here to Dallas. I had the spring camp event that Roger Paris organizes for our association, and I'm so glad that you made it. You're part of it. We had a cool booth right there, right? And met a good group of guys, and you came with an open mind and an open heart, and even said, you know what, let me kind of roll my gi or whatever gi you got, and you were there, man, doing rounds. And so how was it?
It was I had a great time. Every time I get to spend with you, I always feel like I glean something not just cool or important, but vital. You have like this energy and wisdom about you that is really, really special. And I think that, at least to some degree.
Thank you.
You can feel that and know that that's true. But I don't think you could possibly understand the depth of how true that is. Like you're a very special and unique human being. And so every time that I get to spend with you, I feel like there's multiple opportunities for me to level up as a martial artist for sure, but as a man. And so I really value the time that I get to spend with you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I feel the same.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah, it's true. You and Eddie, while you're totally different types of leaders, in some ways you're the same kind of leader. Like in the ways that are really important. Like you inspire those around you, you pull for the success of those around you, you learn from every iteration, whether it's from a negative aspect or from a positive aspect. You take everything as a learning opportunity. You listen and learn from the people around you, even if you know that they don't know as much about the topic as you do. You take the time to not just hear them, but to give value to what they're saying. And that's a really special quality. That's very rare, especially amongst people in a position of power. And so I learn tremendously just every time I'm around you.
Thank you. So tell me about what made you decide to just get your gi on and kind of embark on an additional journey if whatever you already do is not enough to keep you busy forever.
Well, so it's funny. The first jiu-jitsu person that I spent significant time with was Eddie.
Mhm.
But the first jiu-jitsu person that I ever spent any time with was Carlos Machado. So when I was still a white belt in my very first martial art in Tung Soo Do under a man who I think is holding such high regard, Jamie Webster.
Mhm.
One of the great martial art and underrated martial artists in the country, in my opinion. But Jamie took me to a Carlos Machado seminar when I was still a white belt. And I got the opportunity to see some of the magic of jiu-jitsu for the very first time. And always, even though I was on this mission to absorb anything and everything that I could from Eddie, and I'm still on that mission, always in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to get back around to getting my black belt in the gi one of these days. And so as you and I have started spending more and more time together, especially over the last few years, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to bring this thing full circle.
Mhm.
And so you brought up the idea of me testing, and I was like, okay,
Let's get you on the mat.
let's run it.
It's gonna be less slippery now. I'm gonna be able to use those lapels to wrap you.
Listen,
Huh?
listen. A couple of these guys definitely took advantage of me this weekend and beat me up pretty bad. And yeah, it's always a learning experience. But I've been getting to train in the gi a lot more anyway, because when Zoltan's a big gi guy.
Uh-huh.
So I spend so much time in Las Vegas now with my gig with the UFC, and then with the PGF being headquartered in Vegas. So, and I want to train wherever I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Zoe wants to go train in the gi, so we go over to
You might as well.
to Mika's,
Yeah.
and I'll go train in the gi, and I see them as not very different.
No, it's
There are
universal.
differences.
It's universal.
There are differences,
Yeah.
but each is a tool for more efficient learning of a different aspect.
Mhm.
Like to learn how to play at close range, and when it's slippery, no gi is a much more effective tool. But to
Yeah.
learn how to play at range, the gi is a more effective tool.
Mm.
To learn how to posture, the gi is a more effective tool for teaching good posture.
Mm.
And there's just all these little subtle differences that each is more effective at conveying.
Mhm.
And you know, I love martial arts at the end of the day. Jiu-jitsu just happens to be my favorite martial art.
Mhm.
Like you said the word testing, and since we're in jiu-jitsu and that's kind of taboo, in some circles, I'd like for you to kind of just share your experience in the process that you kind of went through for those that might not even know what that would be like. Like you came to this event, you threw on a gi. Tell us kind of like how you were treated and kind of like what you went, what they put you through, and if you were pushed or not pushed, what you experienced, and how many people tested you. What was the process, bro? Just share that.
Okay, well, so on Monday, Carlos sends me a text, and he's like, "All right, you're coming in this weekend. It's time.
He's on.
It's time for you to test for your belt." And he didn't say black belt; he just said for your belt. And I was like, "Okay." And I got excited. I started getting butterflies in my stomach. I called my wife. I was like, "Okay, we're gonna do this." And then on Tuesday at training, I busted my rib up super bad. It's all poking out over here, and you see, I keep hiding it. Every time I laugh or turn to look at somebody all weekend, I'm like, "Oh my God." And so I texted your wife, Lindsay. I was like, "Hey, I trashed my rib. Do not tell Carlos.
I had no idea until after you started testing.
I didn't want you to know, because I knew that I was about to go through a trial, but I didn't want you to know what was happening. I just wanted to be evaluated on as clean a slate as possible. And if it is, it just is what it is. I'll use what I know about jiu-jitsu to get through this trial and to do just the best of my ability. And so definitely wasn't able to do what I could normally do. I couldn't play my guard really at all. Can't crunch, can't stretch, can't extend it over to this side at all. Over this side, not so bad. And so when I could, I would just try to funnel everybody back over to my left, to my weak side. But it was it was my strong side over the weekend.
Yeah.
But normally I wouldn't try to funnel people to that side. I would
Stop, turn left.
And so yeah, well the test was I felt like I had to display a pretty thorough knowledge from each position, and to do so in a way that was adequate. I mean, felt like I had 4 or 5 black belts over there on the sideline looking for a reason to give me
a note.
Yeah, give me a note. And then it was 2 rounds required with the black belts at the end. 2 10-minute. Well, they told me you can have 2 10-minute rounds. Everybody has to do 2, and then the third is optional. And so before we start, I was like, the third is not optional. We will do the third.
We'll say this. You had the flow. You had a 5-minute flow, right? Just to kind of warm you up.
Yeah, that's true.
Thorough knowledge to be shown. And then the reason why I say 2 in the third is optional is because if you it is a test, right? You're being evaluated, I should say. It's an evaluation, not a test.
Felt like a test.
If one of them is a no-go from that black belt, then you will roll a third. And it's a collective best of 3 decided, amongst the black belts that Carlos has tested to deem you ready for the next belt.
Yeah, well, 2 was never an option for me. It had to be 3. If anybody was ever going to do 3, it was going to be me. I want all 3.
So that's in the history books. A broken rib, and you go through 3 rounds. 10-minute rounds.
30-second rest in between.
Crap. 30 seconds rest in between after doing 40 minutes of technique and flow. Not bad, huh?
Thank goodness for salt electrolytes being happen.
Hey, Riley, you and salt electrolytes, you guys rock. That's great, man. I did learn about your rib halfway into your first round, and that got me off my game a little bit. It was like, oh, crap. That last thing I know or hear is he has a broken rib. Last thing I want is for that to get worse, So I kept my eye there on the clock. Oh, man, he has 5 minutes. Crap. Still 5 minutes left. Yes, 7 minutes. When it was 9 minutes, I just said 1 minute left, 1 minute left. So I was just trying to keep tab on the clock.
It was better, honestly.
It got better at the end before you went?
No, it got worse and worse as I kept going. But it was better that the trial was more. That was better.
It makes you more worth.
Yeah. Well, now in my own mind, there's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And real talk, I feel a little bit embarrassed that I wasn't able to put on display my true skill set. Or even my true mentality, even.
Yeah.
But what I did have to do is I had to dig into another part of myself and to another part of my jiu-jitsu, and I had to display those things.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, those things are more important than even how good or bad I am or who I can beat or whatever. So, yeah, I'm not happy that it happened, but I'm grateful that it happened.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So I talked to you about this, this cooperation, right? You are like a jiu-jitsu nerd.
Yes.
You watch more tape. You actually film yourself more than anybody I know, but I understand your purpose. Since you started, you wanted to watch your rolls.
Yeah, I started doing it when I was a blue belt.
You were doing this way before anybody caught up with it. Nowadays, any sports, any instructor of any merit, they recommend do the before and after. Film yourself today, then film tomorrow, whenever, and then compare and try to, tweak whatever areas. So you had this whole journey, and you had your website already with an accumulated extensive material. Then I guess you and I struck a conversation. You know what? You already do a bunch of no-gi, crazy, awesome moves. Let me kind of try my experiments here with the gi, because I always have these ideas of myself. And let me throw that out there and see if we can have both sides of both parties ganging up and kind of see what kind of combo we can create that brings those two together to whatever degree. So no gi guys can see some tweaks in gi that might be helpful in no gi as well, and vice versa, or encourage one to do more of the other. I don't know. What do you say?
I love it. I feel like it's an opportunity for the people who do follow me or do follow only no-gi or maybe only the sport side to get a more holistic view of what jiu-jitsu truly is, and not just my perspective. Like, let's bring in maybe one of the wisest men on the planet and one of the most well-accomplished and well-studied men in the history of jiu-jitsu, and to give another perspective on the same thing. It's, everybody hears from different teachers. Like, there's this guy named Lonnie Jones that's in my life. He is, to me, whatever he says, he just knows how to, as my grandmother would say, he can put it down there where the chickens can get after it. It's very, very simple to just pick it up and eat it. Very simple. He'll take real powerful things and lay them out, but he's not going to be everybody's favorite speaker. But I don't care what subject he's talking about. If he's speaking, it speaks to my soul. I hear it. And everybody has different people that they resonate with like that. And so I think it's so important to bring in outside looks at the same ideas, a different way to approach the same problem, or maybe just it's the same way to approach it, but a different way to say, a different analogy to make right here. And so I think that putting together our experience and our perspectives, and even our different technique sets, we might solve the same problem in a completely different way. It just is going to give the people who are on BJJ 365 so much incredible resource. So yeah, I think we started talking about it several years ago. I remember the very first conversation we had, I was actually in Ireland. Do you remember that? I was in Ireland staying at Keith Kavanaugh's house, and we were talking. I was over there doing like a seminar tour, and we had just started talking about this. This was probably like almost 4 or 5 years ago, probably.
Why didn't we start that earlier?
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Yeah. Now we're up and running.
I see a couple of things. Like I remember when I was in Houston, and we had the little training time, and you kind of shared with me some things that you do. And I, like, for instance, I give you a couple of examples, actually. You added something that I was showing this weekend. I was doing a triangle with a punch through the throat, right? So you can just choke the guy without even having a good triangle. And you can invert the triangle and make it impossible for the guy to stack you. I always think of longevity when I'm doing techniques and control. So once I get you, you're not going to go anywhere. But a lot of times, how do you finish, where it becomes less effort? And I was doing with the inside arm, and you came with the outside. And you did the uppercut, grip right there.
Goes.
So you're going through. So we both met in the middle right there. I kind of threw my ideas to you. You try it out. You worked. I did the punch through, and you did the bringing the guy to you, and you uppercut the guy's throat. Guys, uppercut meaning you're not hitting the guy. You're just having your arm in a position that looks like an uppercut. So there, right there, I improved and I showed you a version right away. And that's another thing I like to do. If I see you doing something, and I'm going to demonstrate something based upon your feedback. By the way, Professor Brandon came up with this idea. Yeah, and I love this crap, because jiu-jitsu, what I believe knowledge is? Nobody invents anything. It's already out there in the ether. We just discover.
Yeah, I totally vibe with that.
Discover.
I feel like it's archaeology. Like, it's hidden in the dirt, and it's our job to delicately brush away and find the beautiful thing hidden in the dirt.
The other thing, you were doing your Ezekiel.
Oh yeah,
the gi, right?
Yeah, you showed me this in Houston.
On the ground, isn't that what I said?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Oh, it shot the percentage through the roof. I used to only use the no-gi Ezekiel. So one of the techniques that I don't want to say I'm famous for, but everybody wants to see is that punch choke. And I have a very unique approach. And some people call it an Ezekiel choke, but to me, it doesn't even use the same mechanics as an Ezekiel the way I do. It's a cross face and it's a choke right here on the throat. And you know, once somebody's seen that 1,000 times, they're blocking it and they're hiding it. And so I started going to a more traditional, like no-gi Ezekiel, where I would be under the head here and I'll slide this hand here and then loop over and then drop in. And what I would do is I would use that to get them to react, and then they would react to that, and then I would get the punch choke. But I very rarely would I get the tap from the Ezekiel. And I was rolling in Houston when we were at the Five Finger Death Punch concert, and you were watching me roll, and you go, Brandon, stop. And you just came by and you put your finger on the back of my head like this, and you said, you said, put your head on the floor. Boom. And I was like, whoa. And then you had me do it again, and just that, and it wasn't a big movement. It was, you were just able to see the tiniest little change, and you just took your finger and you just moved me that far at the back of the head. And
that's
I love it.
I add too sometimes, because I know I have the videos that I compile on my end. You have the videos that you compile on your end, and we throw there on 365. But I can't dream enough of having our communication on the mat at the same time.
Yeah.
And we tag team. Hey, what you've been doing? Oh, can I do like this? Now show me. Kind of like naturally occurring. So what a dream, man. If I can do that all day, I'd rather, I'm gonna cancel all my appointments. Let's do it, Brandon. Anytime you're in town, let's go 365.
Well, I think we're going to be spending a lot more time together, whether it's here, or Las Vegas, or Decatur.
Selfish reasons, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but we just want to spread the knowledge and pass it on, So I'm not sure what else you want to add other than I'm so thankful that you made the time to come here, and PGF rocks. I believe I'm going to make sure September 10th I can go there to witness the amazing event. And proud of you for your warrior spirit of going through with a broken rib and just going against all comers. And give me the honor to get your gi black belt. I'm here still like pinching, myself.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm feeling, there's not a lot of people that have, I'm not the first one for sure, but probably less than 10 that they're black belts in 10th Planet and black belts in the gi. So it's a pretty cool honor.
I just want to give you huge kudos, because I threw out the idea of just go out there with no belt at all. You don't have a belt, and you ran with the idea and the symbolism. You accepted it, right? And it's a beautiful symbolic thing that you went out there. Even when you were talking about our ceremony, you went into ceremony with no belt. That's a huge. You put yourself out there, right? I told you, go sit with those black belts, but you're the lowest ranking. But you are a black belt. Let's be clear about this. But I asked you to sit as the lowest ranking black belt out there, and you said great. And you asked me, what should you do? Everything that I suggested that you do, because I think that's what Carlos would like. You just ran with it, man. And that's beautiful servant leadership on your part. True martial artist. But you rolled your test with no belt on, because you are a no-gi guy. So I want everybody out there to know that he got evaluated with no gi belt on. Super cool, super symbolic. Then you went out there and got your black belt tied on by Carlos. That's beautiful.
Crazy, dude. My life is so weird, dude. I just feel like I really do. I just feel so lucky, man, to even be able to, I don't know. I just never even thought that I was the kind of guy who could be a black belt one day. I just didn't know that I was that kind of guy. And to be honest, I wasn't, and in some ways I feel so lucky that I came to jiu-jitsu and I didn't start as a young man. You hear people sometimes, they'll say, oh, I wish I'd have gotten into it when I was younger, but I don't wish that, because I got to know who I was as a fully formed man first, and get to see on the other side of that what jiu-jitsu has done for me and what I've become. Not that I feel like I've gotten there where I'm trying to go, but I know that I'm a different man than I was before I experienced jiu-jitsu for the first time. And I just feel so, I don't know, I just feel so lucky, dude.
It's a humbling and wonderful feeling. I still feel the same. Like I told you, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know, but we're going to keep working on it. I don't have anything other to say than thank you so much for your time, Brandon. And I know you got to go home sometime soon today, but wish you safe travels, and we shall see each other sooner than later.
I hope so.
Thank you.